Salt and vinegar crisps really do make you feel so much better when you're feeling under the weather. Hello, my name is Debbie. I read a lot of books. If you have not been here before, welcome. Today I have a book for you, which admittedly I think the entirety of like BookTube, BookTok, all of it have talked about this book, but I've never actually seen anybody actually talk about what it's about. Like, they've mentioned the book and said how much they liked it or whatever, but I've never really heard anybody really delve into what it's actually about. And that's what I'm going to do. So, I'll read the blurb and let you know. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. And whenever I saw the title of the book, it was just like, isn't that a quote from Macbeth? Like, what's that got to do with this? And I heard nobody talk about the Macbeth connection, which is explained in the book. But yeah, I'm just going to get on and read that back to you. This is not a romance, but it is about love. Sam and Sadie meet in a hospital in 1987. Sadie is visiting her sister. Sam is recovering from a car crash. The days and months are long there, but playing together brings joy, escape, a fierce competition, and a special friendship. Then all too soon that time is over, and they must return to their normal lives. When the pair spot each other 8 years later in a crowded train station, they are catapulted back to that moment. The spark is immediate, and together they get to work on what they love, creating virtual worlds to delight, challenge, and immerse, finding an intimacy in the digital realm that eludes them in their real lives. Their collaborations make them superstars. This is the story of the perfect world Sadie and Sam build, the imperfect world they live in, and of everything that comes after success. Money, fame, duplicity, tragedy. It's in general and literary fiction. You kind of hear it in the blurb, but it's not completely spelled out. Basically, when they meet in the hospital in 1987, Sam has an issue with his foot, which continues to plague him throughout his life, and Sadie is visiting her sister. Sadie is sent down to this media room where she meets Sam, and they start talking and playing video games together. There comes a slight hiccup in this friendship because Sadie is told by her mother through the medical staff that this is the first time Sam has spoken since his accident. And so they then put Sadie on a volunteer process to talk to Sam. She doesn't really care about that. She just wants to hang out with Sam and play video games. But it means that she builds up hundreds of hours of volunteer work for the hospital, which goes towards her school as well, just for hanging out with Sam, which complicates things a bit further down the road when inevitably Sam finds out about it. And that all happens in the first section of the book, because when they spot each other 8 years later, it's just like, I know that person, yeah. And they remember their friendship, they realise obviously why they fell out, which was because Sam found out about the volunteer hours and like what she was getting out of it. Even when Sadie says, like, to me it was just a numbers thing, like, I really was just wanting to hang out with you. So I think by the end of it she had like 800 hours of like volunteering, which obviously was not about that for her when she was a kid. She just found a friend and wanted to play video games. And then as adults, they are, as it says in the book, catapulted back into that world of their friendship when they first started playing the video games, and they go into making video games. And because it's not explicitly stated in the blurb that it is a book about video games, it's not one that, if I read that, I would just like, oh, I'll pick that up, because it's not something I'm particularly interested in. Do I play video games? Yeah. Like, when I was a kid, like, I had PlayStation, I played Spyro the Dragon, you know, I played Sims and Roller Coaster Tycoon, all that kind of stuff, but I'm not like a hardcore gamer. This is definitely for the hardcore gamers, but I think there is stuff in there for other people, because it's like it says there's not a romance, but it is about love. There is a romance in there, but there is also a friendship, deep love and affection friendship style between Sam and Sadie. And seeing the things that Sam does to get Sadie out of funks when she's going through things, and Sadie trying to do stuff for Sam when he's going through things, because it's the crash. He injures his foot in the crash, and it's something that plagues him throughout the entire book, this foot injury, and him dealing with that. But they, together with Sam's roommate Marks, create their own company. And throughout the book, you're getting references of... It's like it's all being told in flashback, because there's the references to interviews of them as being successful owners of this company, references to the video games that they made together as a company. And so you're aware that something big happens, and I think it's about 2015 is the reference, but they're just like, that day in 2015, and you're just like, oh, what happened in 2015? And when you find out, I must admit, I was a mess. I'm not going to tell you what happens because that would be a spoiler, but be prepared for some tears because it's very emotional and quite hardcore what happens. But it really is mainly about the friendship between Sam and Sadie and how they communicate through the video games that they play and they create, which I thought was really clever. Like, there's a whole section after the implosive moment, the moment that is referred to throughout the book as like that day. After that, there's a point when Sadie retreats into a video game, and so you get this whole section, just the point of view of this player in this video game, and you're just like, it gets to the point when you clock that Sadie is playing the game, and then you kind of find out what's happening. You kind of read between the lines of what's happening in this world as to what might be happening in real life. So having a whole section just based on Sadie playing this video game I thought was really, really clever. There's so many different ways of storytelling just in this one book. I think Gabrielle Zevin is going to be one to watch. Was this her debut? I have no idea. This is just her latest. I've never heard of her before. I feel like I'm living under a rock. There's another book called The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry, which apparently is a feature film. But this is the only book of hers on BorrowBox, which is where I read this. But I thought it was just so clever. I just loved the fact that there were so many different storytelling techniques through it. As I said, through the video game, you're seeing it from different people's point of view. And as I said, you've also got interviews in there as you see them as these CEOs, curators of this company. And so you're seeing kind of like the developing of the video games, you're seeing the friendships and the relationships. There really is something for everybody in there. And I couldn't put it down. I think I've probably read it over about a week because I've had lots of stuff going on lately. For me, a week, like, I can do a book if I really wanted to in one day, if I really set my mind to it. It's 416 pages. The fact that it just says general fiction and literary fiction, it doesn't give you anything else in the genre there, which I think is something else that kind of brings you in because you don't know what you're getting into. But with the reference to Macbeth, it's actually technically a reference to Marx, who isn't actually mentioned in the blurb, who is Sam's roommate and also owner of this company. It's the three of them. And you just see this company getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it has to do with Marx's, it's M-A-R-X, Marx, his kind of how he started out in theatre and doing a production of Macbeth, and how did he play Banquo? I think he might have done. There are references to, Macbeth is one of my favourites, actually. I think it's because I studied it, and so I think sometimes, when you study, you do have a different relationship with it, and so I really got into the nitty-gritty of understanding Macbeth and that story. And I think it was in this one where it says, like, is Banquo called Banquo because he dies on the way to the banquet? And I never thought of that, and when I saw that, it was just like, how was that not something that ever came up when I studied it? But yeah, I just thought it was incredible, and I found it's kind of fascinating that they incorporate Macbeth into a book about video games. I just thought that was really clever. Anyway, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. I thought it was brilliant. I really think it's got a bit of everything in there, but if you are a person who does like video games and you like the idea of looking at kind of like the behind the scenes of making a video game, this will be up there for you. As somebody who wasn't particularly interested in that, I did find myself actually being quite into it, seeing them developing it, and seeing Sadie's relationship with another producer, and going to them and saying, hello?
Hello?
Hey, are you here?
Yes.
Yeah, just summing up a video that I'm making. Hey, I'll be down in a minute.
Okay.
Alright, love you.
Bye.
And he's popping in. But yeah, the fact that they incorporate Macbeth into a book about video games was just, it's quite cool, actually. And I don't think I've seen anybody mention that at all with the booktubers that I do watch and have talked about this book and said how brilliant it was. but never actually talked about the fact that it kind of incorporates Shakespeare and video games, as well as being a book about friendship. Yeah, because it is ultimately about Sam and Sadie, and it almost feels like Mark's just along for the ride. Originally, they're just using his flat. It's kind of like the basis for this company, and then as it expands, he gets more of a role as a producer. I just thought it was so clever and brilliant and funny and heartwarming. It just has everything. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. That is your front cover. It was just so clever, and because I'd seen so many people talk about it, just like, you know what, I'm just going to see if it's on here. And when it was just like, I'm going to give it a go, because I've heard people talk about it but being extremely vague about it, and it was just like, I want to see what the fuss is about. And I get it. It's just clever and funny and heartwarming and heartbreaking. It does everything to you. It gives you all the feels. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time with another video. If you do have any recommendations for books, just pop them in the comments. I have taken a few recommendations from my comments now, and it's nice to see the number going up. I see the number going up a little bit more again in the subscribers, and if you came for the shorts and stayed for the books, I thank you so much for it. Thank you. Bye.